Hello, Captains, and welcome to part 2 of my Lukari Reputation Science Vessel Starship review in Star Trek Online. This time, I have the full Lukari Reputation on this ship rather than the Temporal Initiative Reputation. So stay tuned for a very Lukari-themed Starship review.
Sound waves reaching the microphone are changed into impulses of electric current.
No need to worry about your pre-recorded music tapes being accidentally erased. It can't happen.
Well, everybody, welcome back to part 2 of my Lukari Reputation Science review. If you have not seen the very first review I did of this ship, go check that one out first. It's about an hour long, and it uses the Temporal Defense Initiative reputation that I had on this ship before I was able to get all the Lukari stuff on this ship. It's a very good build, a very powerful build, a lot of temporal-based abilities, as well as the temporal-based specialization and just all kinds of other stuff. It's really good review, and that's going to be my basically kind of full review of this ship. This second part video you're watching now probably going to end up being a little bit shorter, and this is basically just to show off this ship now with the full Lukari reputation, because it is a Lukari ship. There is a Lukari reputation, and so I put 1 and 1 together and made 2. It is a full Lukari themed build this time, all Lukari equipment. Now the Lukari reputation is more about healing than anything. There's a lot of shield buffs and hull buffs that improve like your healing ability. And so that's kind of where this reputation is aimed at. So if healing is not your thing, if you don't want to worry about healing your teammates or yourself, then this is probably not the build for you. But if you are, it can be very powerful, and it can help you stay alive in those situations where you're taking a lot of damage. So that's what we're going to do. The first thing I want to do is just let's bring up the reputation so you can see what I'm talking about specifically. We'll go down here to the Lukari Restoration Initiative. This is the reputation I'm talking about today. And as you'll see, I am at tier 5. I have everything that you can get in here. So if we go to space gear, I have the piezoelectric focuser. I have the Piezo Puller. I'm going to use the beam array, not the cannons. I have the Piezo photon torpedo launcher. I have the Lukari Restoration Initiative Deflector Array. I have the Combat Impulse Engine. I have the Lukari Warp Core. I have the Lukari Initiative Regenerative Shield Array. All of that equipment is now on this ship, compared to the last video, which was using all defense, temporal defense initiative stuff. So, quite a bit of difference here. This is a Polaron-based energy set. So if you want to utilize this set to its best ability, you will need Polaron weaponry, because the beam or dual cannon it comes with right here are Polaron energy type. So this is a Polaron build, whereas last time was a anti-proton build. So very different. Let's see. The one thing I do want to go over are the specs. Let's just start with that first. Now I do have all of the equipment maxed out to Mark 14 Epic, and in that way you can see what modifiers were added to this, and you can see the maximum damage output and everything that everything's doing. So what I want to do is compare my stats first with what the Temporal Defense Initiative stats were. So these are my stats here with the Lukari stuff on. And what I have on another screen that you cannot see is a screenshot from my previous video. Again, you can watch that video for that information. That has a comparison that I'm going to just draw upon to compare the stats of that ship with that, or the Lukari ship with the temporal stuff versus the Lukari stuff with the Lukari stuff. So I'm looking at the differences between here, and I'll just talk about them since I know you can't see them. But the stealth detection rating with the Lukari stuff is 95.65, and with the temporal stuff it was 102.68. So a little bit higher stealth detection rating on the temporal stuff. I'm also looking at the power transfer rate here, 243.35% with the Lukari stuff, and it was 241% with the temporal stuff. So just a slight little bit of difference there with the Lukari stuff, a little bit higher, but very basically the same. Very, very, very close. I have basically also the same equipment that I had from the last ship, so nothing has changed except for the space sets have been changed. My hull rating is 54,190 on the Lukari stuff, and it was 54,290 on the temporal stuff, so barely a difference with the hull rating. So basically my hull strength is the same between the Temporal Defense Initiative reputation and the Lukari reputation. So you're not going to lose hull strength there. You're not going to lose a significant amount of hull strength, so that's good. The repair rate, in fact, is actually exactly the same, which I find a little interesting, since the Lukari stuff is all about hull healing and shield healing and all that, yet the hull repair rate is 53.2% between both Temporal Defense Initiative and Lukari Initiative. So both of them have the same hull repair rate. The shield regen rate, well, this is actually quite shocking, actually. So it's 716.7 shield every 6 seconds. But on the temporal one, yeah, check this out. If you go back in the video and look at it, and I'm looking at a screenshot here of what it was, it's 1316.8 shield every 6 seconds on the temporal. So that means the Temporal Defense Initiative actually has a higher shield regen than the Lukari one. So that's very interesting right there. A higher shield regen on the temporal one versus Lukari. Now let's look at the shield strength. Okay, we got 28,910 on Lukari, and on temporal we had 27,855, so about 1,000 less on temporal. That's really not a big drop. It's just 1,000 less. So still very close shield as well. My resists are, honestly, they're about the same. They're in the 30%, maybe some a little lower 40%, but mostly 30%. That's what it was on the temporal too, so that hasn't changed. Let's come down here. My critical chance and severity. Okay, there's a little bit of a difference here, but not much. Crit severity is 68.7% on Lukari, and it was 74.3% on the temporal. So just a little bit higher critical severity on the temporal. But then my crit chance is exactly the same. 13.2% here on Lukari and 13.3% on temporal. So that is really not changed, but the crit severity is just a tad higher on temporal. And then we come down here to my impulse speed. Let me go to impulse. 27.7 degrees per second is my turn rate. And you know what? It was 28.1 on the temporal. So just slightly higher on the temporal. So you know what? Even though this Lukari stuff is really built toward healing and has a lot of healing bonuses and whatever, my stats are not that wildly different from what I had on the temporal stuff. And I'm surprised the temporal one has a higher shield regen, but it does. And this one has a slightly higher shield strength, but only by 1,000, so it's not a whole lot. So I'm kind of shocked that the differences are not more major than that. They really are not more major than that. As far as just, you know, your regular stats go. There's a lot more that goes into a build, obviously, than just those stats, but, you know, that's a big part of it. So I'm really surprised, I guess, how close those two sets are. But as you can see, I do have all the Lukari stuff here maxed out to 14, so that we can see what modifiers were added to it. So that's what I'm going to go through now. I'm just kind of going to hover over everything. I'm going to hover over everything, and we're going to look at the stats on it and see the modifiers and everything that it has. So this is the Piezo Puller beam array. It's got accuracy, damage, and crit D. And it's doing 796 DPS, 995 Polaron damage, without any, you know, buffs. If we go to my actual weapon thing, which we'll do in a second, you'll see what the actual damage is. But that is basically a Polaron beam array, and it has this piezo part to it. If you're wondering what that does, let's see here. The advanced Piezo Puller beam array has a chance to heal you and nearby allies for 1% of their hull and shields over time. Additionally, when first activating while Beam Overload or Surgical Strikes are active, this weapon triggers a technical overload on the target that deals electrical damage in an area around the target that is increased if the target is electrical. This can only occur once per 15 seconds, so you have to use Beam Overload or Surgical Strikes, and luckily I do have Beam Overload, so we can see that electrical effect of that take place. So with this chance to heal you and nearby allies, that's where all these little buffs come in about this set's ability to do healing on you and your allies, is that it has these inherent native built-in little bonuses to healing. So even though I don't have a very high shield regen, I still have all these little hidden healing things within the weapons and sets themselves that create all these bonuses with the Lukari Reputation that give me all that healing stuff. So here's the torpedo. It's a piezo photon torpedo launcher. It does kinetic damage. Oh, the modifiers. It has accuracy, damage, and crit H. The advanced Piezo Photon Torpedo Launcher has been heavily enhanced with different effects under different firing modes. This torpedo prevents Zenkethi ships from creating protomatter radiation hazards on death. When fired normally or as a transported warhead, it has a chance to inflict a shield hardness debuff and shield drain on nearby foes. When fired as a salvo or with the photonic shockwave upgrade, it drains the debuffs, the hardness of your enemy shields in a massive area around your primary target. When fired as a high yield, it has one single destructible torpedo that deals heavy kinetic damage to your main target and inflicts a shield hardness debuff and bigger shield drain to all foes in range, and additionally deals electric damage to all foes in range. Additionally, the 3-piece bonus causes the high yield to spawn a proto-matter restoration field that heals allies in range if it is killed before reaching its target. So a lot of stuff there associated with that torpedo. I mean, that's a heck of a lot of stuff there. And I do have high yield, so we can see that all that stuff take place when I do it. And you'll see the effect. I'm going to show all this off, of course. You'll see the effect of that proto-matter field and that shield drain and all that on the enemy. It's quite interesting. Alright, and then the third piece to this set, by the way, is called the Lukari Restoration Initiative Armaments. And the third piece to that is the console, this right here, the piezoelectric focuser. So just having this focuser console on your ship, period, gives you a passive plus 37.5% Polaron damage. So it's literally like having a third tactical console. It also has plus 15% flight turn rate and plus 18.8% maximum shield capacity. Really not terrible. More turn rate, more shield capacity, and if you're flying Polaron energy weapon damage, it increases your Polaron energy weapon damage. So you'll see I only have two tactical slots on the Lukari ship to increase my Polaron damage, but with this piezoelectric, it's the same as having a third tactical console slot, because it's plus 37.5% Polaron damage, and these are also 37.5, so it is literally like having a third tactical console. So that's one way to get more energy damage out of this ship anyway, is to fly Polarons on it and use this console to buff that Polaron damage even more. And then of course it's also part of the Lukari Restoration Initiative Armament set. So what am I getting out of the set completely? Well, the set 2 bonus of this is called Piezoelectric Technologies. I'm getting a plus 15% photon projectile damage, a plus 15% Polaron weapon damage, so look at that, even more Polaron weapon damage on top of the 37.5% this is already doing. It's giving me an additional 15% Polaron weapon damage for having 2 of these armament things on, which I have all 3 of them. So I'm getting even more Polaron weapon damage. So this thing has pretty much the most buffed up Polaron weapon damage or energy damage you can have on a Lukari science vessel. I mean, it's the most. Then you get a plus 20 Starship Drain Expertise, improves energy drain and shield drains. And then you get the set 3 bonus called the Proto-Matter Infused Torpedoes. And that is my high yield torpedo. If they're shot down before reaching the target, they'll spawn a restorative proto-matter field that grants allied players a hull and shield regeneration boost for flying into it. So this can help your allies, but it has to be shot down by the enemy, and your ally has to fly within the field, so there's 2 kind of requirements there for this one to work. But it is part of that, so that's what you get, the set 2 and 3 bonus there, and that's what I have now. Okay, now let's go over the Deflector and Impulse Warp and Shield set. This one is the Lukari Restoration Initiative Deflector Array. It has size, CD, shield, and hull capacity on it. Plus 20 radiation damage resistance, plus 40 Starship hull restoration, plus 50 Starship shield restoration, plus 10 Starship hull capacity, plus 10 Starship shield capacity, plus 20 Starship drain expertise, plus 50 Starship scientific readiness. So as you're starting to see, there's a lot of drain expertise on this set. So that's another thing that this set is good at, is if you're a science character doing a lot of shield drains or power drains, any kind of drain ability, this set would also be good at. So it's not just healing, it's also drain. Very good at drain stuff. and it's part of what's called a Lukari Restoration Initiative Starship Technologies, which of course I have all of, and we'll look at that after I look at each individual piece. The Impulse Engine, this one has sector space 2 and speed. So plus 20 kinetic damage resistance rating, plus 20 Starship impulse expertise, plus 20 Starship sector speed, plus 21.7 flight speed, 0.7 flight turn rate, and a reactive engine technologies. When taking more than 25% of max hull within 5 seconds, you gain a plus 200% flight speed and plus 200% turn rate for 6 seconds. So that's when you take more than 25% of your max hull within 5 seconds. Now this has happened to me while I'm in combat, and I'll tell you, you know when it happens because all of a sudden you get this huge speed boost on your ship, and it turns incredibly sharp. So you'll know when this thing procs, because you can feel it as you're flying. You'll be like, oh crap, now this ship can turn in circles and I can fly all over the place. It's really cool, and it does help you get out of sticky situations real quickly. It also regenerates 2% of your max hull per second for 6 seconds. It can only occur every 1 minute. So that is the Impulse Engine. Very cool. And also it has an all-powered engines plus 177.5 flight speed. Now the Warp Core. So the Warp Core has amp. So you will get amp out of this Warp Core, and you will get weapon to shield when you upgrade it all. Weapon to shield. So weapon power to shield power. You're to buff your shield power quite a bit. So this is plus 2.5 additional shield power, plus 5 additional aux power. Remember, it's a science-y kind of set. Plus 5 maximum shield power, plus 5 maximum aux power. Maximum warp factor 12.8 at 7.5% of your aux power to your shield power as bonus power. So you also have aux power to shield power. Plus, so you're going to have a really high shield power. And as you can see, I do 103 down there on shield power. Plus 40 Starship hull restoration. Plus 0.2 slipstream speed bonus, 3.3% all damage per subsystem, that's the amp. Adds 7.5% of your weapon power to your shield power, and the Warp Core includes a teleport ability, and this is important because the last bonus of this set improves that teleport. Teleport approximately 4 kilometers in front of your target. And then to self, you're going to have a stealth, root, to self, temporary hit points. That's right, 13,791 extra hull points to your hull, and that's because of the 4-piece bonus on this set. And to enemies, they're going to have a negative shield resistance. You're going to debuff their shields. 2-minute recharge, 4-minute recharge. So that is all part. So the teleport part is native to the Warp Core, and you'll just have that anyway. But then if you have all 4 pieces like I do, you get this enhanced temporary hit points and debuffing the enemy and all of that when you actually teleport. So it adds to the teleport. And I'll show that off here as well. And then the shield, we have a capacity and a capacity reg. 11,585 shield capacity, 10% bleed through, shield regeneration, reduces all energy damage to shields by 10%. Modest, it's not a lot, but I'll take it. And then reduces Tetrion damage by 20%, and applies a regenerative shield overflow to self and allies within 5 kilometers once every 6 seconds. You're going to get this shield regeneration, and that's just automatic. So now let's look at the bonuses. The 2-piece bonus is called Rapid Restorative Technologies. You get a 10% recharge time reduction on hull and shield healing bridge officer abilities. Again, giving us the ability to heal our ship even more and faster. Supercharged shield emitters, plus 20 to Starship drain expertise. Another drain expertise improvement. I mean, at this point, I don't even know what the total is, but it's way up there on Starship drain expertise. Regenerative shield overflow, set shield passive, range increase from 2.5 to 5 kilometers, and then here's what I was talking about with the enhanced point jump. Plus 20 Starship shield restoration, point jump reduces recharge to 120 seconds, to foes within 5 kilometers, negative 29.38% shield hardness for 10 seconds, to self, gain temporary hit points for 10 seconds. Whew. That's a lot of crap, guys. That's a lot of stuff. So as you can see, this is a science-orientated set. Both of these sets are science orientated. There's a lot to do about healing, shield, and hull. And there's a lot to do about drain expertise. And there's a lot to do about moving a little bit faster. That you get that engine buff when you're taking damage. That helps you move and turn quicker. You've got an auxiliary power buff. You have a lot of shield power buff. So, and you have that teleport ability. So, as you can see, just a lot of that kind of stuff with the Lukari stuff. That's what you get out of it. So, as you can see, my shield power, 103. So, they're giving you a lot of shield power out of this set. I'm at 110 weapon, 44 engine, and 72 aux power. Now, in the last video, I went over the Starship trait and the unique console. I'll just briefly summarize it again, but if you watch that first video, you'll see me demonstrate and use the Starship trait and the console. But the Starship trait is the protomatter capacitor. It's an energy siphon, charged particle burst, and tachyon beam grant a hull and shield regeneration. So another hull and shield regeneration. To self, you get a plus 31.5% shield regeneration and hull regeneration if you enable one of those abilities. And I am using tachyon beam, which can activate that ability for me. Right down here, tachyon beam will activate that. So I'll get a shield regeneration and hull regeneration by activating that. And then the unique console this comes with is called the Universal Protomatter Field Projector. It's got plus 20 Starship hull restoration and shield restoration, but also while active, all allies within 3 kilometers gain a massive shield regeneration and hull regeneration while the ability is active. Of course, I did show that in the last video, and I'll go ahead and show those again in this video. But mainly what I want you guys to notice when I'm taking this thing into combat are the abilities when I use Beam Overload, and how the piezoelectric beam will do like electrical damage on the enemy. And then I'm going to use the high yield torpedo, the piezo photon torpedo, which is going to also do electrical damage, but also do that protomatter field thing, and also drain their shields as well. And if they manage to knock out one of my torpedoes before it gets there, you'll see that other protomatter field thing enable as well. That one's iffy. I can't predict, you know, when or if that will happen. But if it does, you'll see that effect. I just kind of want y'all to pay attention to those effects as I'm doing those weapons. Those, you know, are going to be completely, you know, random as they operate. But as I'm in battle, just kind of watch for those effects yourself. It's going to be hard for me to point them out because I'm not going to be able to notice them while I'm fighting and doing a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, so the next thing is, let's look at the shield. The shield obviously has a unique visual, and the shield visual is on right now. So this is what it looks like on this ship. Kind of gives it definitely a more reflective vibe, very colorful reflective vibe to it. But if I turn the shield visual off, you will see what the ship looks like by default. So that's the ship by default. Still colorful ship, just not as reflective without the shield. So the shield visual does add a little bit to it. I think it looks better with the shield visual on. And then the impulse, it definitely has a little bit of a difference. Impulse, we disable the visual. This is the normal, oh, I'm at the edge of space. This is the normal impulse engine view. So it's got this like middle trail here, and I think all it does is kind of heightens that a little bit. Yeah, it just makes that middle one a little more multicolored. Kind of enhances that middle stream there. Otherwise, it looks the same. And does it have a deflector visual? Yes, it does have a deflector visual. And there you go. That's the deflector visual. We'll let it cycle through its thing. There you go. That's what it does right there. So that's all of the visual pieces to it enabled. I'll just go ahead and leave those enabled during our combat so you know what it looks like with all the Lukari Restoration Initiative stuff enabled. And let's see, there was one thing I think I'm forgetting here. I'm trying to remember. Oh, yeah. I just wanted to show you the other weaponry I'm using on the ship as well, beyond the sets that you get in the Reputation. I'm using a Piezo Puller dual beam bank. I got this from the store. So if you go to Reputation and you go to Lukari Restoration and you go to Store, right here you'll find you know, beam arrays, beam banks, all that kind of stuff here. And these don't have terrible modifiers. These are actually decent modifiers on these. And so when I upgraded this a little bit, I just upgraded it to ultra rare. I actually have a crit D ×2, so 2 severities and a crit chance and a damage. So not a terrible two crit chances and a damage. There's really not terrible, and it increased my chance a little bit. So the modifier was not that bad on this, and I did not take it to epic only because I'm probably not going to have this build for a very much longer time and before I put the next ship on. And I didn't really want to, you know, use all my resources to make this thing go epic. It really does take a lot of dilithium and tech upgrades and all that stuff, you know, to take these things up to epic level. So I just left it at ultra rare for now. And for the beam, I have severity ×3 on this one, crit D ×3, and damage down here. So actually the modifiers are pretty good on these weapons, and they're Piezo Puller to match, of course, the set, the Piezo Puller beam array and photon torpedo. Whew. Okay, I know that's a lot, guys. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to absorb. But it does make a very unique build on this Lukari ship. And so now the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to take this thing into combat, and I'm going to demonstrate these abilities, just like I do on everything else. So let's go to Japori. We will start here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with doing like beam overload and then high yield torpedo, and then I'm going to use tachyon beam so that you can see those things activate. Might even use the proto field here, and then just so you can see all that in action, and then basically just watch for what else the ship is doing. You know, all the little things that proc while I'm doing it, all the restorations and little bonuses that everything has. Hopefully they'll engage and you can see that. And then after that, I'll just do another patrol, and I'll just, you know, go all out and fight normally like I normally do, and, you know, just do some regular combat. And maybe you will see some things on the ship. Maybe you'll see it do some things it's supposed to be doing. Hopefully. If I do several combat scenarios, that'll give you a better chance to see those things in action. So just sit back, really, at this point, and watch. Sit back and watch the fireworks happen. Hopefully this ship will show you what it can do. I'm not going to buff anything else right now except for beam overload. Again, we're watching for electrical damage, and we're watching for something else this does too, right? So let's go in here and do that.
Warning, ship is under attack. Target's shields have failed.
Well, if it's doing it, I can't tell, but maybe it is. You did see that shield restoration, right? Here it goes again. You can see the shield restoration on the ship too, by the way. I'm gonna do a spread here. Let's see what spread does.
Ship is under attack.
Oh yeah, check out that field.
Target shields have
That was definitely, look at the damage it's doing. Yeah, see, that's working real good.
Target's shields have failed.
Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, I like that. So that's doing its thing. That's spread. Let's do high yield. There goes high yield.
Target's shields have failed.
Oh yeah. Oh, check that out. It went purple for a second too. Here goes Tachyon. Very cool. I want them to shoot down one of my torpedoes.
Target's shields have failed. Target's shields have failed.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah, a lot of effects and stuff going on there. Really hard to see what's going on, I know, but you can see a lot of the green protomatter field effects going on, the big green like explosions. You can see the electrical damage, the little like yellow things all over the ship. And you can see it turn purple, and I think some of that purpleness might be like the shield drain, not quite sure, or the reduction to the shield hardness or something like that. So it's kind of hard to tell, you know, what each effect is actually doing, but it is doing its thing, that's for sure. So a lot of stuff happening at once, but all that stuff is doing what it should do. One thing I forgot to show is let's look at my my weapon damages and DPSs and things. I know that's interesting. I've got 1409 DPS on the dual beam bank, 1756 Polaron damage, and then this one is 1117 DPS for the Piezo Polaron beam, 1396 Polaron damage. The torpedo is 1202 DPS and then 7216 kinetic damage, and then this one is 1080 DPS and 1350 Polaron damage, and then I have a chronometric Polaron array, which is a 360 degree beam array, and it's doing a lot less, 971 DPS but 1213 Polaron, and then my kinetic cutting beam is 1468 DPS and 1958 kinetic damage. So that's all the weapon stuff there. Let's go out, and what I want to do is I want to try to get a ship to take down one of my torpedoes while it's on the way so we can see what that effect looks like. It's real hard to do though, because it's hard to line something like that up. I'm probably going to have to do like a real hard STF or something like that for that to happen, which I'm up to do. We'll do it. But there have been times where I have gotten some really big effects out of the ship. There's some kind of effect where like it goes real bright and that electrical stuff on the enemy is like shooting all over the place. It happens very rarely, but it happens on real big enemies. I might need to do Tholian Red Alert and do one of those tarantulas And if I can get it done just right, you'll see that effect on it. It's really cool. Of course, very random too. Let's just go here real quick. I'm going to fire off a high yield torpedo on the Desembra here on this one. Well, it hit. Yeah, look at that. See that? That's a cool effect, huh? And there's the electrical damage sparking out from it. It did a lot of damage. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you the teleport thing, so let's do that. Bam! And now I got temporary hit points. Pretty cool, huh? Not bad for a very science-y Healy kind of set. Not bad at all. So I did use the the jump. I'll have to show you that again. Pretty cool, huh? And you'll see I take a lot of damage, but this thing keeps healing itself. It really, really, really keeps healing itself. Let's do something a little harder. Let's step up to a Tholian red alert. Let's do that. And then we'll do a harder STF after that. We'll do a harder STF after this one. And we'll do Hive Onslaught maybe. That seems, I think that's the current endeavor right now. That guy was standing in space. Did you see that? There was a dude standing right in the middle of space.
Warning, ship is under attack. Target shields have failed.
Ah, crap.
Target shield has failed.
I'm doing electrical damage to it. That was very fun. There it is. That's what I'm talking about. Look at that. Woo-wee. It's so bright I can't see anything. That was cool. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, that was a lot of fun right there. That was a good demonstration. And through all of it, I was able to stay alive very easily. Very easily able to stay alive. Whew. Yeah. This Lukari set is actually not bad at all. Let's see. I think the current endeavor is Hive Onslaught. Let's do Hive Onslaught. I'm just going to do normal because I'm pugging it. See if that goes quickly or not. Might even do Crystalline Entity after this one too. But yeah, this is a pretty good set. I've been using it now for a little while, and I have to say, I still like the temporal set better, but that's because I like all the temporal powers that it comes with. But the Lukari Restoration set is also a formidable set and could do quite well on a science vessel. So there you go. Yeah, liking that. Oh, this might be taking longer than I think. The reason why I like Hive Onslaught is a lot of Borg to deal with. You have 2 of those V'ger ships, and then you have the Borg Queen at the end. If you do this on Elite or Advanced or Elite, it is pretty tough. Pretty good, actually. Pretty good test of your ship. But I just want to do it on normal because I'm pugging it, and you know that could go real terrible on Advanced or Elite. If this pops quickly here, I don't know. This could take a while. I believe that's the current endeavor going on right now, because I know I just did Hive Onslaught in an endeavor yesterday, and it should still the endeavor should still be going on, so people should be doing this. But it may take a while here, so I guess instead of just sitting here and y'all listening to absolutely nothing. Well, I take that back. There it goes. I was going to say I'll pause the video and come back when it's ready, but... Wait, what? I did join the queue. What? See, I hate this system. It's so messed up. So am I in the queue or not? I guess I am. And it just randomly went. Okie dokie, so wait for the beginning here. And we're just going to tear it up. If you don't hear me communicate much over the microphone, it's because I am just concentrating on taking out the baddies. Now, one good thing about this, there's an optional here. If you can keep everybody alive without exploding, it helps. So I might use my protomatter field here quite a bit if I can to help keep people alive. This is the kind of STF where things like that protomatter field that heals allies through my torpedoes or through this will really help. So I'm going to use those abilities here. Some of my stuff's still on cooldown.
Is futile.
Warning. Ship is under attack. Target shields have failed.
Check that out. I did an electrical thing. Okay, that went really fast, actually.
Target shields have failed.
Your efforts are futile. Destroy this vessel, and I will claim another.
Hull integrity below 75%.
Your efforts are futile. Destroy this vessel, and I will claim another.
Yes! Awesome.
I am eternal! This is not the end.
That went really well. I wonder if we got the optional or not. I wanted to see if we got the optional on that or not. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, it was still a fun run. Still a very fun run, and really does show that this Lukari set is working really well on this Lacoon science vessel. I mean, science ship here, and it's doing really well. It ain't no escort, but I'll tell you what, it can fly like an escort in a way. I mean, it's actually very maneuverable, very fast ship. Wow. Yeah, this is really good. Don't really know what else to do. Oh yeah, let's do the Crystalline. Sure. Okay. I'm talking to my head here. I'm talking to myself. Where are you, Crystalline? You're under choice of marks. And let's go ahead and do advanced on Crystalline, just to make it a little harder. So now, here's the big thing with the Crystalline entity. Obviously, you have those periods where it builds up a charge and then it releases, and you have to stay alive during that, or move out of the way. With this ship, I can take that blast. Even though it's not a tanky ship, because of all my healing and restoration abilities and stuff, I should be able to tank that thing, especially if I teleport right when it happens and get that temporary hit points. That could be interesting. I've actually never tried that. If you teleport right at the right time and get the temporary hit points from that, I wonder if it would be even better at that. Ooh, that's something to try. I don't know if I can time it right, but I can try it anyway. Come on, thing. There we go. Probably should have given some time for my abilities to cool down, like my science team and my intelligence fleet is on cooldown still. Oh well, we're just not going to use them, I guess.
Warning. Ship is under attack.
Okay, we got a energy thing building up here. I'm gonna teleport. I'm gonna try the teleport. Even though I know I can survive this. There we go. Hey, that did help actually. It worked. I survived that energy blast like nothing. Look at that. Took no damage from me.
integrity below 75%. 4 shields failing. Hull integrity below 50%.
Ha! I had to do that little end there. That was hard with all the ships. I was the only one left here. Everybody left. I was abandoned and left to my own. Yeah, for some reason, those end Tholian ships in Crystalline Entity are very tough. but I had to do it, and I did. I succeeded. So there you go. That's a pretty good test right there too. Shows you what the ship is capable of in a very tough situation. I had a lot of Tholian ships on me there, but I came out of it okay. I had to do a lot of healing there at the end, but still came out of it okay. Well, there you go, folks. I don't know what else to say about this ship because I've now given it 2 full reviews, 2 different sets. We did the Temporal Defense Initiative set, which I thought was great, and now we've done the Lukari set, which I think is also great. So this Lukari Hokun Science Vessel is A+ ship in my opinion, and the 2 Reputation sets on it are also A+. I still prefer the temporal one just because I like all the temporal powers, and I like that kind of thing anyway. I'm a very big person into time travel and temporal stuff, so that to me is what I would continue to use. But the Lukari Restoration Initiative Reputation is a very good alternative for a science captain. Seems to be doing very well, and with the ship also very well. Really nothing else to explore on this ship. 2 full reviews, you've seen it all. That's pretty much, I'm going to call it quits on this ship and say we've done it. We've done this thing justice. This was the anniversary ship, of course, and it's actually really good. I like it. So thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.